world. My name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
My name is Raph, and I also love video games.
Hey friends, Vinny here, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Warning, the Game Treasure Podcast is not for children or anyone with a brain for that matter. Hello, dear listener or dear watcher. Thank you once again for joining us here. We have a great show for you today. We are going to attempt to do a genre study on a very big, very popular, very money-making powerhouse genre of video games, the MMORPG.
Hallelujah. We finally made it.
A
so long.
genre of video game that two of us have lots of experience in and two of us have almost none in. Can you figure out who's who before we start talking?
It's the old people.
I digress.
Surprise.
Before we get into that, we're going to kick our episode off, as we always should, by having the Megabuck and RetroGameTreasure.com take us back in time with this week's Retro Zone game. Buck.
Let's go back in time.
I felt like
Michael
dancing
Jackson.
or singing.
Oh,
Michael
okay.
Jackson.
It'd be a
We're
singing
probably
game.
dancing. Look,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't
Giving
dance,
Michael Jackson.
if you don't dance it, oh man, Moonwalk. That's a good idea to bring Moonwalker one day. Oh, just making myself a note there. There you go. No, Mac. I wore this shirt on accident, but on purpose, because who is good enough?
Goonies.
The
are.
Goonies
Is that
are
Jay
good
Leno?
enough.
Good
That's
enough.
right.
Naturally.
Oh.
So
Good enough.
when we
Jay
got-
Leno, I'm sorry.
I only see the top
I'm not
of
going to
his
let
head.
you glaze, Pat. That was terrible.
Well, me.
That's
I
Corey
was hoping you wouldn't.
Feldman.
I was hoping you wouldn't.
I wore this on accident, and then I walked up to the warehouse, and we had just gotten a batch of import games in, and I thought, ooh, this would be a lot of fun. Well, do I say import games? Mac, what's the name of the Goonies game for the NES?
Goonies 2.
Because it's a follow-up to the movie?
No, because there's a
No.
Famicom game, I believe, of the same.
That's right.
And it has a
Bam.
beautiful cart art.
It has,
One of
because
the,
the
best of
cart
all
art is
time.
just the movie poster.
And there's no writing on it at
It's on the
all.
top
It's just
in katakana.
gorgeous,
Goonies.
golden colored
Goonies.
portrait of all the Goonies on a pirate ship.
This was a movie poster that came out when this movie came out. The box art in Japan is just the exploded version of this with Goonies on it. And it's just a movie poster. Yeah, Goonies.
When you say it, I don't know why. It just
Goonies.
gets me.
Because it's katakana. It's funny because it's meant to be still English, but Japanese English. Japanimation.
So you have
It's
to
meant be
say it like an
Japanimation.
angry shogun.
Yeah, I
That's
get
part
it.
of the rules
Exactly.
of the language.
Do you kids remember the
Giant.
Japanimation era? I do.
Japanimation. Yeah.
The
Such
first Goonies
fun.
game, we did not get here in the States except for the arcade Nintendo Versus machines. So we did get it.
I
but
have
we
never
didn't get it in
played
home
one of those.
consoles.
Does it
Played
play exactly like
Played
this
it, dude.
Famicom game, or is it any better?
Yes,
or
no, it's pretty much
same?
the same thing.
Okay.
So if you haven't played this, it's basically the Goonies 2 game that we got here in the States, except broken up into levels, almost like the game Mappy, if you've ever played that game.
No.
It does pretty much just play the Goonies Are Good Enough by Cyndi Lauper in 8-bit form over and over again, except for the cave levels, which just like in Goonies 2 have like no music at all, which is like super creepy
Scary.
and off-putting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
This actually more closely follows the movie, where you're trying to like meet up with the other kids, or I guess when you get lost, you go through the house
Caves and
areas, which I guess
caverns
is
and
supposed to be
stuff,
like the
too.
Italian restaurant, and then you go through the caves, and at the end, you're actually on the pirate ship. Like the last level or two is actually a pirate ship, and you get to watch One-Eyed Willie's ship go off in the distance at the end with Chunk and all the Goonies holding hands like as silhouettes in the ending
Cool.
of this game. So
Yeah, but how many old ladies do you get to punch in exchange for a candle?
none. It's like a bunch of rats, and then later on
2 out
some
of 10, that's
gangsters,
it.
but there's no Ma Fratellis in here.
Yeah, they
or,
don't
or old
introduce a
ladies.
series of new Fratellis.
Yeah, it's not that's weird.
That game is
Yeah.
out of this world, the Goonies 2.
Yeah.
Go see our Nintendo episode to listen to Buck talk about Goonies 2.
I love that game. Now, this would basically be an easier version of Goonies 2, because if you didn't know, Goonies 2 is like a Metroidvania.
Yes,
It
right.
really
That's what I was
is.
going to say. The
Yeah.
inaccessibility of the at the accessing the
It's
different
not
parts of the
easy.
map because
You can get very
deciphering the puzzles is
That too.
impossible. It cannot be
That's
done.
okay.
Very
as fuck.
confused very quickly. This game is level based, so you're basically just trying to blow up a series of doors, find items, find the key, and then open the door at the end of the level. It's just one screen that scrolls a little bit left to right.
This is a big question, but why the heck didn't we get this game?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we got it in the arcades, but maybe it was really early. This game was made in like '86.
They're like, that Goonies is not, people don't like it. We don't need it on the Nintendo.
I think it might have been an early release kind of thing, just because, I mean, we didn't get the NES in America till '85, and this came out for the Famicom in '86. So maybe they weren't really digging movie tie-ins yet. Maybe they just didn't think it would sell. I don't know.
Does it have any scary moments in it? Because I know a lot of games didn't come to the U.S. because they had maybe like some more horror themes in them that were
No,
not
if you bring up
really...
like the arcade game like Mappy, which is like the same thing, like platforming, use a bomb to blow up an item or something, it's the same damn thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Looks good.
game.
good.
Looks good enough.
Nice one, dude.
And definitely one that you can get in Japanese because I don't see anything you need to read. And everything looks, like
It
you would
even says
definitely-
like the end congratulation at the end when you beat it, which is like the only
Congratulations.
text on the whole.
Congratulations.
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 So if you go to www.retrogametreasure.com, become a subscriber. Now, Famicom games, you sell the device that allows you to play, like convert them to your Nintendo, or no? Yes.
If you do have an NES but you don't have a Famicom, the Hyperkin makes an adapter. I think we sell them for like $20. Yeah. And you can literally, it pops in. The only difference is the way that the pinouts are formed between the NES and the Famicom. That's it. I mean, all the hardware is pretty much the same. So, except for that sound chip we didn't get.
So you might say, oh, no, I don't have a Famicom. I can't play that game, Buck.
yes, you
well, yes, you can. If you have a Nintendo, you can buy a small device that will allow you to do so. Yeah. This is just a platforming game, yes?
Yeah, it's just a great old platform game. And now don't forget, we won't send you imports unless you say that's okay. So you have to select I'm okay with imports to even get this. We're not going to just throw imports on you and say, too bad, find a way to play it. We don't do that.
But I bet it's a nice cheap game to throw into your box on top of all the other stuff you like. Yeah,
it's like a $7 game, so it's nice for us to get in your box.
There you go. So go now to www.retrogametreasure.com, and you too could get your hands on a copy of Goonies for the Famicom.
For part 1.
We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Cracks Knuckles, I'm going to attempt to explain the history of the MMORPG.
Good luck.
See you on the other side. Okay, we're back from our break, and it is time to unpack massively multiplayer, online, role-playing games. If you didn't know if you just heard me say MMORPG 3 times so far in this episode, and then you don't know what that is, I don't
it's
know.
It's a drinking game now.
You probably, you probably do know. If you're watching this podcast, you probably do know. So, hey, let's break into this genre study like we usually do by defining what aspects make a game an MMORPG, specifically an MMORPG. Gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong or supplement if I miss any. Number 1, persistent game environment.
Okay.
So there has to be a world that is always living, quote unquote, even when you are not on. And this usually involves any two people in this world see the same world. So if there's a mob here by a tree in your game, it is by that tree in everyone's game.
Usually, yeah.
Second thing, some form of level progression. Okay? So you can have an MMO in the form of, what was that game you were talking about, Raph, the military game?
Hell Let Loose.
Hell Let Loose is a game where there's a massive amount of people playing online. So you'd say, Mac, that's an MMO. Well, that's an MMO, yes, but that's not an MMORPG. I'd say in order to qualify as an MMORPG, have some sort of level progression and based on honestly, like the ancient text of Dungeons and Dragons.
Right, yeah.
And then the last thing is a massive, in air quotes, player count per server. So a game like Diablo, which has millions of people playing it, since they don't play at the same time on the same world,
Makes sense.
I would not consider that an MMORPG. That's just an online RPG, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Dungeon
Yeah.
crawler?
A CRPG,
Online
I guess,
action RPG. Yeah.
Yeah.
Online RPG, but you don't get the MMO.
Right,
Perfect.
exactly, yeah.
Moniker.
Okay. So those are the only three that I think are the tent poles. Did I miss any? Am I wrong?
No,
I don't think
yeah.
you're too far off on that, because honestly, it really does come down to, like, okay, when we define RPGs and we define classic RPG elements, you hit it very, very clearly with the whole leveling, but also like heavily stat driven, heavily like numbers driven in a big way. A lot of games kind of operate under that pretext these days, but that was kind of a big. That was a big deal back in the earlier days of the MMOs. There were very few games that were like stat min-max kind of games, and items with stat blocks and such. Like that really wasn't a thing as much, unless you're playing like a classic Final Fantasy or D&D or something like that.
Yeah, if you've heard us talk about RPGs and the history of RPGs before, you know that they were basically text-based for a long, long, long time because their only inspiration to draw from was advanced D&D. So they're like, I don't know, this is what RPG is. So what do you want? You know what I mean?
This is the Bible.
And that actually stuck for quite some time. So let's get into it. The MMORPG, a genre a lot older than I realized, to be frank. So let's begin all the way back in the way back machine to the late 1970s. So there is a genre of video games known as multi-user dungeons, or MUDs. So we've explained before that the adventure or RPG genre existed mainly in the form of text-based PC-only experiences. By this point, the idea of adventure games was not that new by the late 70s, early 80s. But again, they were all these text-based games. Well, in the early 80s, there were a bunch of nerds at a college. Tell me if you've heard this one before. Stop me if you heard this one. That tied all their computers together and were incredibly horny at the idea that they could get on the computer at any time and there might be another person playing the game with them.
Right.
So games like Mud 1, Gods, and a couple others were text-based adventure games that you could go online to play with other people that had persistent worlds. That was the number one thing. There was leveling in some of them, but like Venacor said, that doesn't really come until a little bit later. The most important thing is there's just a bunch of user-generated content with just people getting online to play Dungeons and Dragons via text, basically. So special shout outs to a 1985 Lucasfilms game. I'm very interested if Buck has ever heard of this game. It's called Habitat. Have you heard of this, Buck? So Habitat is a game made by Lucasfilms, not LucasArts. This is older than that. So Lucasfilms in 1985. It's for the Commodore 64.
Yeah,
And it uses an online service that is only accessible on the Commodore 64. Spoilers, this later goes on to become AOL, which will become relevant later once more in our story. But it allows the Commodore 64 console or computer. I think they marketed it as a computer. But it allowed people that own Commodore 64s to play a fully graphical adventure game with other people from across the planet. So it's not an RPG, but it's not a text-based adventure. It's like more like Monkey Island or something, but you play it with other people. So not quite there yet, but an interesting game that I think if you're doing the history of it, you have to mention that they made this game that people in different countries with Commodore 64s could play with one another. And it's an RPG, kind of. But unfortunately, there aren't...
Yeah, if you're looking for like early DNA of the concept, I think we could point to that. But I mean, you're talking like an extremely, extremely limited opportunity.
Extremely.
right.
You know, I think I know where you're going with this, so
I'm going to jump right to that. Dovetails into, like I said, it becomes America Online. Well, the first fully graphical online role-playing game experience that you will find is the original Neverwinter Nights, developed by Beyond Software in 1991. Exclusively available through America Online.
Hilarious.
Have you guys seen footage of this game?
I haven't, but it's interesting though, because AOL wasn't really a commercial success until later than that, like quite a few years later, like
That's
94,
funny.
95.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that this was something that they jumped on so early.
It almost predates like accessible internet, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, it does. It does for sure.
It absolutely 100% does.
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
dial-up video games.
That's wild.
So if you've heard Neverwinter Nights, I've heard that before. Yes, there's a series of BioWare games that take place in the same world. This is, once again, go figure,
It's D&D.
advanced Dungeons and Dragons shit. So
It's the
Neverwinter.
Forgotten Realms. It's Forgotten Realms.
It's
the
a
same
place.
world as fun fact. It's the same world as Baldur's Gate 3,
Right.
guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
the
perfect.
same
There you
world.
go.
Yeah.
It's for Forgotten
So the gameplay in this original Neverwinter Nights consists of like an exploration phase that looks almost identical to Wizardry. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically there's a small portrait of what you're seeing in front of your character, and then a bunch of commands next to you and a map and shit like this. And you walk around dungeons and open wooded areas until you run into enemies. And then when you run into enemies, the game changes and becomes like a tile-based, turn-based RPG. And the game has a persistent world. People could there's like open PvP in it. They would have like 100 people in a server or something like this. People are shitting their pants to be able to play Dungeons and Dragons on their computer that they also work on with their friends. You get the picture.
Crazy concept. I
Fun
love
fact. Neverwinter Nights cost $5 an hour to play in 1991 money.
Whoa, dude.
It would be $10 an hour if you wanted to play from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the weekdays.
Wow.
That's
That's how
basically-
dial-up was back then, though.
Yeah,
dial-up
right,
was
yeah.
per hour. It wasn't.
So
there
not
was
only
no
would you have to
monthly cost.
pay for the hourly cost of AOL, you'd have to pay for the hourly cost of Neverwinter Nights. That's about $20 an hour in today's money. Thank God it's not
Wow.
like that anymore.
You know, it's
So-
funny. I talking about MUDs in this sort of early era of MMOs, like you can see the tendrils reaching out to the modern day in a lot of different genres, which is pretty fascinating. Like you see, like these games came out around the same time as games like Rogue and NetHack, Moria, and all that stuff. So like the roguelike genre, you see like the first person dungeon crawler aspect in that. You know, it's Legends of Grimrock. You know, that came out just a few years ago. So it's pretty fascinating. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
5 years after Neverwinter Nights, you get our first 3D in air quotes, because it's really 2.5D. It looks like a boomer shooter, like Doom or something. 2.5D consistent world RPG in Meridian 59, published by the 3DO company. So it's a first-person hack and slash type RPG. So this one for me, I wrote, is just important because basically it's taking a step towards being not so slow, not so text-based. Like we're getting closer to, going through ability cycles and actually moving in the world to attack people from like you're this character type of deal. I wanted to mention that this game is developed by John Hank, who would go on to become the founder and CEO of Niantic.
Oh wow. Huh.
Okay.
Wild.
So this game mostly is famous because it apparently, even though with the dial-up, I don't know what Wizardry go on, but it had lag-free PvP, just like open PvP, and a player-enforced justice system.
Okay.
So they would allow
you
the
mean
players.
real life?
Yes, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So
I don't
I've
want
never
to be in
played
real life. I
Meridian
want to be in a
59.
video game.
It looks like Hexen or something like this, but it's online in a persistent world. So
Looks
now,
like Elder Scrolls Arena, like classic Elder
kind
Scrolls.
of.
That's wild.
Honestly,
Yeah,
it kind of
that's
looks
cool.
like that.
Mhm.
My next section of notes, we're turning a corner here to the dawn of the next era. In 1997, we get the Grandpappy. I don't know if I want to call it the Granddaddy, because the Granddaddy is next. But the old man who puts his feet in the water and says, "These are good. is Ultima Online.
And then sends himself to space with all the money he makes.
Yes, that's right. Richard Garriott is the producer. I believe he's the son of an astronaut as well.
If you have fun fact, that's the first father-son duo to follow each other into space.
That's
Oh.
cool. I love
Oh,
that.
that's really cool.
Gnarly.
His
Yeah.
dad was an astronaut, and he
Aw.
used oodles of Ultima Online money to send himself into space.
Cool.
So, Mac,
that.
why is Ultima Online so important? Well, because Ultima Online was the first game that put the massive online RPG.
Yeah.
Ultima Online, if you haven't seen it, it kind of looks like Diablo. It's like from an isometric, like top-down angle. But it was the first actual mainstream instance of the acronym MMORPG being used in the promotion of a video game. Literally, Richard Garriott wanted his game to stand out among the competition because his servers could hold tenfold the number of players that you'd see on a MUD, basically, at this point in time. You could have 1,000 people on an Ultima Online server. And I think this is really the first game where people start to see that the subscription model of paying for these games, not the hourly subscription, the monthly subscription, could actually help you make money. Which leads me to have any of you guys played Ultima Online? I should pause.
I played UO for a very short time. I have some good friends that lived right down the street from me that were very, very, very into it. And boy, the war stories that came out of that game.
The PvP
because
in that
it
game is
was-
supposed to be great.
It was the first instance of like long-term PvP struggles and like, controlling, cities and land and, player housing and things like that, and raids on other people's property and things like that. It's very, very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
It was its own culture in a
You
way.
could join guilds and Neverwinter Nights, but it wasn't until Ultima Online, kind of just to piggyback on what Venacor is saying, where like joining a guild and then doing big PvP wars was like a huge function of the game. It's just like all social interaction. Again, none of this is developer made.
And you bring up PvP as the hallmark for UO, which I think is very interesting because I would agree with you. But where we're going next
Yes.
totally shifts gears permanently.
He knows exactly
And
what I'm
I'd like
talking
to
about.
I'd like to get into that.
Shortly thereafter, in 1999, we solidify this genre, dare I say. Fight me if you think otherwise. I think that EverQuest is the beginning of what will forever be the blueprint of the massively multiplayer online RPG boasting several thousand players per server and codifying the look and feel of your average fantasy MMORPG forever, basically. Just to give you one last insight before I hand it over to Mr. Venacor, this game is often colloquially referred to as Evercrack.
Yes.
Mr. Venacor has tons of experience with this game, so sir, could you please, what makes EverQuest so dang good?
Even at release, we called it Evercrack. I mean, that was the joke from day one. EQ was also the first 3D MMO, which was a big deal because now you
Yeah.
could see your character in a 3D space and look around in a 3D environment and actually, have a presence within a living, breathing space.
Third and first-person perspectives.
Nobody played in third person. I'll tell you that right now.
Interesting.
Nobody
Really?
played EQ in third person.
Huh.
No. You might have taken photos in third person. You might have zoomed out in third person to get a good picture or something like that. Nobody played in third person. It was
Wow.
completely not a viable way to play, at least in the first 10 or so years.
Machinima lied to me.
Yeah, right. I was
Oh,
gonna say,
imagine.
that's my exposure, I was going to say, but I'll let Vinny keep going.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Imagine. EQ was class-based. You picked your class right at the beginning. You picked your race right at the beginning. You picked your god that you worshipped right at the beginning. It took place in the world of Norath, which EQ is still around. You can play retail. They also put out time lock progression servers still, and there are even some private servers that are allowed to function, like with the full blessing of the original devs. But I think what made EQ so special is the community and the fact that EQ was the first game to really focus on PvE in an MMORPG. The main attraction of EQ was the bosses. It was the raids and the bosses and the getting to the end of the zone. EQ was separated into zones. And back then, when you were playing on a dial-up connection or very early cable connection, you had a significant load time between these zones. So basically, you'd create your character. You had your little starting zone where you'd get your, first few levels, get your first little bit of gear, your first spells, whatever. Then you venture into the wider world. And there was zone-wide chat. So you could chat with everybody in that zone at one time, whether it's 50, 100, 200 people. It's very interesting. You could call, hey, is anybody looking for a tank? Anybody looking for a healer? Whatever. Level 25 cleric LFG, and you get a whisper from somebody. Oh, come to the ramp at the aviac tree. We've got a spot open. Oh, great. And you knew exactly where that was. Or, hey man, I don't know where that is. And someone would come and get you and guide you to the hunting spot. Cool. Because the experience at EQ was very unique because you could not effectively play as a solo player. Let me make that very clear. You could not solo in that game unless you played as a necromancer or a druid, and then to a lesser extent a wizard. So there were very few classes. I think there were like 10 or 12 starting classes in the game, but it was a group-based game. So you had to join up with other people, like in Final Fantasy XI. It was very much the same. You didn't play that game solo. So the learning the hunting spots, learning the zones, learning, in the estate of unrest underground in the second basement, this rare mob that may or may not spawn every 6 hours drops this particular piece that I need for my cleric. And you would be there for an entire week finding groups or making your own group and trying to get to the spot and claiming that spot, by the way, because there was only one in the whole server. There were no rules on loot.
Yeah.
So if you claimed a hunting spot, there is nothing stopping another group from coming in and horning in on your mob. Now that's not good, and word would get out. I mean, that was like the first
fight each other over it.
No, you couldn't. Not in a PvE server.
Dang it.
Not in a PvE server. But then that's where the community came in. There were guilds. People had reputations. Guilds had reputations. There were full online calendars for each server on, okay, this week, this guild gets this raid. Next week, this guild gets this raid.
Wow.
So the players controlled not only the economy, they controlled the whole world because you had this massively organized system. And this was in the heyday. There were things later on that kind of, streamlined this, and then instances became a thing, but there were no instances back then. If you wanted to kill Lady Vox and Lord Nagafen, the only two dragons in original EQ, you had to be a part of one of those guilds, and that guild's turn had to be up. And then you had to win the fight.
Wow.
Because if you lost, if you fucked it up, your
Honestly,
guild, 6 weeks later, you get another try.
That's a perfect segue. I want to keep talking about EverQuest, but that is a perfect segue into my next point, which is the different styles of MMORPGs. So I'm referencing Mr. Venecor explaining that all of this stuff that he just said was all user organized stuff. There's no rules for queuing.
Wild.
There's no instances, all these things.
It was amazing, and it was magic.
There are people online that would refer to this style of game world as a sandbox style MMORPG. I don't know if you would call it an evolution or just a divergence of, but the other type of MMORPG world is the theme park world. So this is the last leg of my notes. In 2004, we get a universal canon moment when the most influential MMORPG of all time comes out, Blizzard Entertainment's World of Warcraft. So you probably know what World of Warcraft is, so if you're listening to this. So I can sum it up quite nicely. It's EverQuest, but easier and more, both graphically speaking and developmentally speaking. So this gets into that sandbox versus theme park. So in a sandbox-style game, it's all the user-generated content. We already explained hosting a tournament, getting the guilds to talk to one another about who's going to take turns killing the moss. The other option is the theme park style, which was perfected, I believe, by WoW and is what led to its huge global success. And what it involves is the players having a full length line of quests that will take
That's
them
exactly
from
it.
level 1 to the end level. Now, I didn't explain
So-
to you, viewers,
Yeah.
listeners, that some MMORPGs have what's called a level cap and some do not. I'm not going to get into that, but the point is that some of them get to an end, so to speak, leveling wise, and then you're just incentivized to just like get another set of armor or get a new weapon or something like this. This is what you're using to have your pissing contest. So in a theme park style game, it's not like Mr. Venacore said, where it's like you can't do it alone. You have to go out and shout like, "Who can help me?" like to the world. In theme park style games,
/SH.
you can play the entire game by yourself, going from NPC given quest to NPC given quest. And if you want to get a party, there's a very organized system that you can just queue in and then just sit there and wait to get into a party. This kind of thing. So. The theme park version of PvP, like I said, consists of, a curated matchmaking system where some developer judges your skill level and then he puts you against whoever instead of you two just like shouting like, "I want to fight," and some other guy goes, "I'm going to fight you." And that I wrote, what I'm getting at is WoW offered a more curated experience for its players during a time where most of MMOs just kind of said, go do whatever. And normies love being told what to do.
Right.
It's
It had
easy.
mass market
That's
appeal,
what's the
for sure.
message to the formula and why it became the
does,
most successful MMORPG of all time is
Yeah.
because it helped you play it.
Yeah.
Do you have do any of you guys have a lot of experience with World of Warcraft? I certainly remember playing it
Also
at Buck's
Vinny.
house.
Tons.
Yeah. Okay. So explain to me, what is it about a World of Warcraft that gives it that sauce?
What is it about the World of Warcraft?
Mamma mia.
All right, you're allowed to do that. You can have an Italian card for the day.
All right. Thank you.
So and just before we blow this wide open, I do want to recognize, before we transition to this new modern world of MMOs, and you'll often hear me refer to a certain period of time that I affectionately call the MMO black hole, because it's pretty much all I played from around 1999 to about 2009. So it was about a 10-year phase where I was just perpetually online if I was playing video games, and it was all MMOs, starting with EQ and then moving to Final Fantasy 11. Huge props, by the way. But we have to recognize
before WoW.
too.
Sorry.
2 years before WoW, exactly. There was there was this phase before WoW though, and I would call it between the 1999 and 2004 phase, where there was no measuring stick there was really no measuring stick to kind of guide modern MMO development. That's why everybody had to try and kind of do it their own way. Yes, EverQuest was kind of a pioneer, and I think some of those later phase MMOs prior to WoW took some cues from that, including WoW. But you also had games like Final Fantasy 11. City of Heroes, Star Wars Galaxies,
Big one.
Dark Ages of Camelot, which was a massive EverQuest competitor, by the way, and did PvP probably better than any game at the time. Dark Ages of Camelot, or Daok, as they call it. So, yeah, want to give some credit where credit is due. And then that's when the whole RuneScape era was as well. But as soon as we hit that 2004 mark and World of Warcraft hits, within the first 10 seconds, you immediately understand the difference between an early era 3D MMO and a modern theme park style MMO. That's very true. Know what that is? You know what that is?
What is
you want to know what that? The guy standing right next to you when you spawn in with an exclamation point above his head.
Yep. Yep.
That's
and
the
you're like,
whole
oh
thing.
man, I know how to play now.
You already touched on it, but I have to tell you, coming from a guy who played 5 or 6 MMOs between the UO and WoW period, like I'm not talking just played, I'm talking 1,000+ hours in each game. That's all I played, guys.
Yeah, wow.
I had 3,000+ hours in EverQuest. I had 3,000+ hours in WoW, probably more than that. What made World of Warcraft, other than what you just said, it was so easy to jump into, and you had a guidepost from day one, taking you from zone to zone, place to place, quest giver to quest giver, and this is the big quest of the zone. Now you have to group up and go in Wailing Caverns to advance the story, or else you're going to skip this whole zone and have to go to the next one. Other than that, I think one of the biggest reasons WoW, other than the fact that it was just a fantastic game. And the combat was the most crisp, smooth combat that we had ever seen in an MMORPG to date. There's no denying that. I don't care. I mean, I love DQ, but I will tell you right away, World of Warcraft did combat better than EverQuest. It did it better than Final Fantasy XI. It did it better than City Heroes. It did it better than Asheron's Call 1 and 2, Dark Ages Camelot. WoW had the secret sauce. The combat was smooth and fun and easy to get into. And you didn't have to rest for 5 minutes after a fight just to go to the next fight. WoW was the fastest recovery, like your character recovered faster in WoW by a large margin than any MMO to date.
Because if you were out of a fight for like 30, 60 seconds, it just went boop, 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 right? Like,
Hell
you
yeah.
had your food and drink.
Now
all
we're
you had to do
talking.
was,
Yeah.
Now you had to do was click food and drink, and within 30 seconds, your character was back to 100% ready to go. If your party had a tough fight in EverQuest, you might be sitting, recovering and healing and meditating and getting your mana back for 5+ minutes just to pull the next mob.
Wild.
I shit you not. That is
American
absolute-
minutes.
I think it was the same
And
thing
Final
in 11
Fantasy
too.
11
Final
was the
Fantasy
same
11.
thing.
Yeah.
It was a little better. It was a little better, but not much. Not
PTSD
much.
me.
I'm telling you, man. And XP
Wow,
penalties.
literally wow.
Yeah.
Literally.
So anyway, to kind of drive this home.
Yes.
You have to remember, in the era of 2004, what came out around 2004 that is like one of the most popular websites in the whole world today that we watch videos on? What's that
Rotten.com?
website called? YouTube.
Oh, right.
YouTube.
Yes.
The content creation era
Yeah.
was beginning. The content creation era
did
did
help.
not exist prior to World of Warcraft. You had GamePro Magazine and EGM and some early websites. You mostly just had the websites dedicated to that particular game. Like Alakazam's was the biggest website for EverQuest, and I forget the one for FF11. There was a big one for FF11 and like City Heroes and all. Every game had its own like curated website,
Like a wiki.
But now you were getting into an era of content creation, and the cultural relevance of World of Warcraft was in full force because it was the most popular MMO of all time by far, making millions of dollars. The first MMO, I think, to cross, 1 million concurrent players at any given time, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
And the popularity was compounded by the fact that we were now having people making their own content about the game, whereas before it was completely self-contained in the game itself and the affiliated websites. So just a really magical time. And then once the floodgates opened up with WoW and everybody saw how good it was, because I mean, the gameplay was awesome. And at that time, like, we didn't have anything close. Everybody was addicted to WoW. Everybody played WoW. I mean, and you could PvP, you could dungeon crawl, you could raid. I mean, it still had those parameters, but now you had instances. Everybody at the same time could get their guild together and go to Molten Core and try to kill Ragnaros, because every single guild had their own instance of the dungeon.
Wow.
So it made it more accessible, and everybody could try the same things at the same time.
And that is only possible because it had the budget to not only develop those things in the first place, but to continue developing them, because Blizzard was already the most popular RTS powerhouse. They were making
Diablo 2,
StarCraft and Warcraft.
StarCraft,
They had
Warcraft
money.
3, forget it.
Right.
They had the one thing that none of these other games had was anybody putting money into it, because no one thought it could make money. So once Blizzard put a bunch of money into making the theme park that is WoW, they made a bunch of money in return. And then from there on, we have the future, aka now, where basically every MMO on the market is a theme park MMO. And I just wanted to mention that one of the best ones on the market right now is Final Fantasy XIV. We did an entire episode on it. If you wanted to watch us talk about it, because let's just put it this way. It doesn't look now like it did when it started in 2010.
Yeah.
The whole game blew up and they remade the whole thing. But when they
Literally.
when they did remake it, they have done a very excellent job catering to the Final Fantasy audience in making a theme park world that hits like all the juiciest fucking like oh, there's Kefka.
Man,
oh God, it's it's it. Oh.
Too bad the Shin Megami Tensei MMO didn't pan out. I think it would have been real popular in today's day.
But Buck, I know you did
Power.
recently say that you guys haven't been playing Final Fantasy 14 recently, right? What has happened?
You wanna grab this one, bud?
I have turned off my subscription for the first time in almost 8 years.
Oh my
too.
god.
Oh my God!
I think I'm gonna throw up.
I let my house go.
Thousands and
did I.
thousands and thousands of hours. You let the house go?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow. What
Wow.
happened?
You fucked up,
what
Squaresoft. You fucked up.
Listen, Dawn Trail happened, but I'm gonna preface this with I liked Dawn Trail. It was still okay. The problem was
Is that the most recent one? I'm sorry.
that is the most recent expansion.
Okay.
Sorry. The problem was the prior two expansions were the Final Fantasy 4 and 6 of the series. They were so fucking good.
Unbelievably good.
And then
especially Shadowbringers.
freaking 8 came next, and you were like, oh, it's a Final Fantasy game. It's not the best Final Fantasy game, and so we lost interest. There were some characters. There was a main protagonist NPC that people did not like very much, and they're playing the regrouping game right now because that game. One of the main reasons that game has done so well in the last 5 years is because the story was Final Fantasy mainline title caliber.
It
Wow,
was.
yeah.
The characters and the story were just top notch. And and I'll echo with Buck here. You know, Final Fantasy 14 had a magic concoction of timing with a few things. Shadowbringers hit, which was, in my opinion, the Shadowbringers expansion of Final Fantasy 14 is the greatest expansion of any MMO to ever exist, period, full stop. I, as an EverQuest fan, even I say that Shadowbringers was the best there ever was, even compared to all the WoW stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
So something happened. It released in the fall of 19. Buck, what happened in 2020, guys?
I don't know. A bunch of people just decided to
Did
stay
everybody
home and
stay
play MMOs
home
instead of
and
go
play
to work.
video games?
Yeah.
So Final Fantasy 14 gained millions upon millions
tens of
upon
millions.
millions of subscribers during the Shadowbringers expansion, which was the greatest expansion to ever exist, in my humble opinion.
And they do
it was
expansions every
this-
18 months, give or
And
take.
then it just dominated everything because it was so damn good. And then when you follow that with an expansion Endwalker, which was almost equally good, not quite, but it was
They're both
good.
like on Metacritic.
It was-
They're like a 95 and a 96 on Metacritic.
It was
like,
good.
This is an
then
MMO
all
expansion
oh my
that
god!
has a
And then you
Metacritic score that high.
and then everybody's riding that high of Final Fantasy 14, best MMO around. Everybody's playing, everybody's subscribing, and then all of a sudden, this new expansion drops, and it just sort of falls flat. And why? I could go over here and play Night Rain,
Yeah.
and it's really fun.
Yeah.
So why am I gonna force myself
hard.
to?
They did the culmination and end capped a 10-year arc with an amazing story ending. And they were like, now what do we do? Let's go on vacation over there. It's like, oh, they didn't know what to do.
They did free run.
Shit.
Wow. Well, shit. You heard it here, folks. Fuck Final Fantasy 14.
No,
I'm
it's
just
just-
kidding.
no, stop. It is suffering right now. I think
We love Yoshi P.
I think
Yeah.
that Final Fantasy 14 and WoW are pretty even on concurrent players again.
Wow.
But
Damn.
subscriptions, Square has never divulged actual subscription numbers, as opposed to Blizzard, which has squeaked them out more than a few times. So we're still not really sure where that's at.
I was gonna ask you guys, do you guys see yourselves going back at some point?
I mean,
If
why
maybe good
not?
drops, I guess.
If it looks up to standard, if it looks like FF14's back to form in the next expansion, it looks exciting. I'll buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, that's basically the history of MMORPGs. To wrap up our conversation,
that all?
just
Was
in
that all?
regard, that was 30 plus minutes of me trying to wrangle this together.
It's a tough one.
Our personal feelings on them.
Okay.
MMORPGs. My first exposure to them was watching G4 TV, Cinematech, the show that was basically either they would show you the openings of video games or they would show you some machinima that somebody made. There were so many episodes of that show that featured machinima that was made in EverQuest.
Yes.
And I would
Yes.
always see it and be like, what the fuck is this game? And then I remember finding out it's an online RPG and just being like, this looks so cool. This looks like a whole entire world in there that it's like, oh my God. I didn't end up playing one until I was in middle school, and it was Ragnarok Online. Ragnarok Online. I just want to mention too, if you're in your car screaming at me, there's a whole subgenre of Korean MMORPGs that I did not touch at all.
Man, it's good. The Korean MMOs, I'm sorry,
they have their
great.
own vibe, and it's
their own
it's
thing.
good.
But you've got the little cute ones, the chibi ones. You've got
Ragnarok Online is a 2D, but with 3D
Sprite
worlds,
based.
like 2.5D sprite based. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked cool when I was a kid, and it was I don't know, you could play online. But I'll just say this: I've never been able to really stick with one because I'm just not good at making friends online. I don't know what my problem is, but I cannot seem to get it together.
Anymore,
I'm also not the best with the rhythm of knowing how they get played and whatnot.
Takes like research. Becomes a job. Wait a minute. You love games that are jobs.
I know. They should make one where it's just you and I guess that's Second
He
Life.
likes games about jobs, not games that actually are jobs.
Raph,
That's funny.
MMOs, do you ever play one for a particularly long time?
So it's funny, like thinking about this in preparation for this episode, my experience with MMOs actually goes back to the AOL days. We didn't get into it here. We went straight into the muds, but I used to play like Dragon Ball Z, like chat room RPGs, basically.
Yeah,
which,
boy.
In hindsight, I'm lucky to have survived that because those were probably a haven for child predators. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I kind of got
Child
lucky
predators
there.
hadn't quite figured it out at that point.
Yeah,
Dad,
right,
did you
yeah.
buy a new van?
Yeah.
No.
I dodged the bullet.
It's
bullet.
Goku's painted on the side of it.
But my biggest experience,
Nope,
like I've
that's a
tried to
giant
play
wiener.
several of them. I'm with you, Mac. I never really got into them. I've tried to play SWTOR. I've tried to play World of Warcraft. I even tried playing Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy 14. I even actually spent some money on DC Universe Online to try to. I wanted to play as a Green Lantern. I love Green Lantern, so I was like, yeah, let me spend money on this. But the only MMO that I've really played for a long time was a game called Urban Dead, which is a free HTML text-based zombie RPG. You can look it up. This game ran from July 3rd, 2005 to March 14th of 2025. It actually the servers just shut down because the guy that made it felt that he couldn't keep up with the UK standards on like safety practices for MMOs and online RPGs and forums. So he shut it down just a few months ago. But it was cool because you got to play as like a survivor. You basically went from building to building. The interesting thing about this game is that you only had like 20 action points a day. So you can only really play for about 10 minutes a day before your character had to just stop. And you had to find somewhere to rest and wait there. If you didn't find somewhere to rest, you can get killed while you're like not online, which is pretty interesting.
Gosh,
That's cool.
Really cool little game. But that was really
cool?
the only.
Is that cool?
What's up?
I said,
It was-
Max
that's
said,
cool.
that's
He
cool.
said,
I said, is that cool?
It was its own sort of
Interesting,
experience
let's put
that
it
you
that
got
way,
to like
yes.
play in snippets. You'd find a place to rest, and then you the next day you'd come in and you'd have your points replenished, and you can kind of explore again. But yeah, with the exception of Urban Dead, really like I never got into the genre, and I think for me the problems with MMOs that I just could not get around are just it's the quest structure. You guys talked about it as being like a theme park, and I always felt like it was a theme park that I had never been to and all of my friends had, and they were all trying to kind of guide me through it, but like
Right.
every time I
Why is
found
that so
something
bad?
interesting, I'm like, oh, let me do this, and then my friend's like, no, that's stupid, you don't want to do that, come over here, we gotta
Right,
do this.
exactly.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, fuck, I just
Also
want to do
fair.
that.
Don't spend
That
money
looks
on the
cool.
cotton candy. Everybody knows it's not worth it.
That
It's like, I
looks
don't know
cool.
it's not worth it yet.
But it's the go to X location, kill X number of this creature and collect this number of whatever parts, bring it back here. I found that quest structure to not be interesting for me, and I actually I have a lot of respect for people that can get into RPGs like MMORPGs and actually enjoy them. But it never really clicked with me. I also think that the style of fantasy that most MMORPGs have just isn't the kind of fantasy that I like. I'm more into the whole like dark fantasy sort of like more mysterious sort of heavy sort of shit, as opposed to like the more high fantasy sort of like World of Warcraft sort of world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Buck,
never clicked with me.
Venny, how do I make friends online?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
How do I make friends
don't
on the
have to.
internet so
You
I
don't
can
have to
enjoy
anymore.
MMORPGs like you
Oh,
guys?
that's easy. Just be slightly on the spectrum like me.
You
I-
don't have to anymore.
What is your
guys?
guys' secret to enjoying them?
You just play with friends and you just follow the quest lines. And when you queue up with, you don't even have to look for groups anymore. You just use the in-game, queue up tools, and boom, you can run whatever you want.
It is a little
It's
bit different.
It's
now,
different
yeah.
now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. It sounds like I would have enjoyed more of the Ultima Online sort of thing, like where it's like less structured.
Yeah.
There's an entire documentary about Ultima Online about how the world generated its stuff. For example, the animals, like animal populations. That world was originally designed to have like a natural cycle of reproduction without almost
Yeah, yeah.
organic. And then people hunted everything to just
They
extinction so
destroyed the
quickly
ecology. I
that
saw
they had to create a static ecology. So interesting.
All right, man. I think that does it. We have voiced our opinions and our the history of MMORPGs. Also, shouts out to RuneScape, a game where people spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours chopping wood. We're gonna take a quick break. I know you're out there, you freaks, and you wanted me to mention it. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna do our what else you got and scurry on out of here. See you in the queue for the instance to get the gold for the new, I don't know any of the terms. I'll
Mythic
see you on the
armor.
other side. All right, we're back. We're back, and it's time for our What Else You Got, the segment of our show where we can bring anything to the table, be it video game or otherwise. This week, I just have a movie. I saw Him.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
I
cool,
saw
cool.
him.
What'd you think?
Jordan, how we doing?
I liked it. Did you know it has a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes?
I did see that. Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Sometimes that makes me like a horror movie more.
Yeah, so it's directed by this guy named Justin Tippings. It's his second film. His first film is some like indie circuit movie that didn't look very interesting. Sorry, nothing personal. And he's done some TV directing, but I think that the reason it's got a 28 on Rotten Tomatoes is because it's really fucking weird.
Did Jordan Peele write it? He's involved.
No,
right?
it's just made by his production company.
Oh.
Yes, I had to correct my girlfriend many times. I was like,
I
"You want to go see that
understand
movie?" And she's
that.
like, "Jordan Peele's new movie." And I was like, "Well, it's not his new movie."
I thought
no,
it
but-
was.
I know
I
because
thought it was.
they
Okay.
certainly market it as like from the dark minds of Jordan Peele. Just like
He's too busy
no.
working with Kojima
He's just
now.
on
He's in the-
set going, "That looks crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should do that. Yeah, do that.
He's in the Kojima black hole now for like
Right.
the next 3 or 4
Yes,
years.
exactly. Oh my god. But so this movie is just incredibly weird, and that's coming from me. So that's how you know it's fucking weird. Raph, I think you've
So
seen this
funny.
movie. Have either you two seen a movie called The Holy Mountain?
No, I actually
It's
haven't seen
it's
it.
made by Alejandro Jodorowsky, the guy that was.
How old is it?
This is the 1970s.
I know Jodorowsky. I've never
You
seen.
know
The Holy
Alejandro
Mountain.
Jodorowsky,
Yeah.
the guy
think so.
supposed to do Dune with
Jodorowsky's
David,
Dune, yeah,
like whatever,
yeah.
and then David Lynch gets it. He made this movie called El Topo, and he made a movie called The Holy Mountain, and they're both crazy allegorical nightmares. So that's him is The Holy Mountain, but it's football.
Oh, that's
Which,
funny.
if you know the movie that I'm talking about, I hope you're laughing because that's funny. Marlon Wayans does a really great job, like being in a movie again. I haven't seen him in a movie in 1,000 years, and he has to play basically a CTE riddled nightmare man. Like it's like if Tom Brady was I don't know, just like an extremely athletic, scary individual, and he does a really fucking good job being completely unhinged. But
Well, that's cool.
it hits like all the touchstones that you'd expect, and so for that, I think it doesn't score very high for me. I'd say I'd give it a 3 out of 5, where it's just like it didn't say anything new. Where it's just like the NFL is like, they use these kids' bodies and they destroy their own bodies to get money, and it's just like, yeah, I know. Just like, well,
That's just fame in
but
general.
those kids are just doing it, and they're like gladiators, and I'm like, well, yeah, I know. You know what I mean? So. It didn't really say anything new, but I'll just say this. There's a moment in which a man throws a sword like a football and it impales somebody. So that's the
Worth
tone we're
watching.
talking with here. It's
Worth
pretty
watching.
kooky.
I
So what?
literally just saw that in a movie like the other day.
Someone throw a
Graduation
sword
day.
like a football?
Graduation day. They take a fencing foil, poke it through a football, and then throw it and impale the dude.
It's like that. There's a bunch
Sweet.
of goofy ass
funny.
football-based violence that's
awesome.
pretty silly,
Hilarious.
but yeah, go see it. I think it's good. Like I said, 3 out of 5. If you got a free evening, it's better than Long Legs.
All right.
Fuck you, Long Legs. Buck, what else have you got for us
He
this
doesn't
week?
like long legs. New Kill Team stuff came out.
Oh, who are they?
More Necrons, baby.
Oh.
Canoptic circle. I painted my Necrons up, if you can see without it getting too blurry. in the light.
Warhammer 40K.
Little
Oh, that's
Spotify
awesome.
video moment.
That's
We
awesome.
love your molding. You always
got a-
make the best, coolest looking models.
It's got a face. It's got a cup. It's got
I'm
two
talking
of
about
these,
Citadel, not you.
Oh, thanks. There's 2 of these guys in it. If you remember them, Mac, from the Necrons, like the
All
big
the
old.
models are so new compared to when I had my Necron army that none of them look like who they were.
This guy's a Geomancer, not to be confused with the one in Final Fantasy Tactics.
Cool. How does their army play, I guess? This is my follow-up question.
It's interesting because a couple of their units can just like respawn when they die, which is like super helpful in this. And
Classic.
they basically have some tokens that move around on the board that are like a Wi-Fi network. And if they're on the Wi-Fi network, that's the joke I've already started making after week 1, then they're more powerful.
Oh, nice.
There's a new map I'll be able to show off in the next week or 2. Brad's still finishing painting it, but it's Tomb World, so it's all Necron themed,
All right. Very
like
cool.
dungeon kind of style with put together walls.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Raph, what else have you got for us this week?
Just
sir?
a couple of things. I got a movie and a game. So I actually got the movie was given to me like last week, but I forgot to mention it. So I guess I'll bring it in now. I already showed you, Mac, but yeah, my friend Lauren, who streams
Oh.
with me sometimes, I know Mac has said this is not his favorite movie, but I haven't seen it yet. I still need to watch it. But yeah, I was sent a special edition copy of Godzilla -1.
Oh.
I haven't seen this one yet, and I still
Beautiful
haven't.
DVD for an absolutely
Sweet.
garbage movie.
I mean,
the
it
one
won
I
an
liked
Oscar.
and
It
you
won an
didn't
Oscar,
like?
so I
I
do
don't know.
want to see it.
Is that the
I'm a
World
big
War
Godzilla
One?
fan, so I feel like I might like
I
it
like
a little
that
bit
one.
more just because it's a Godzilla movie and I'm a Godzilla fan.
Raph, if
grew
that
up
makes you
with-
feel any better, I liked that movie.
Did you? Okay, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I still have to reserve judgment until I actually watch it. I haven't had the time to see it, but I plan on doing that this weekend. My other thing is a game. So obviously been playing a lot of Night Rain. That got me into other FromSoft games and got me back into playing Dark Souls. And I was like, it'd be kind of fun to like try to collect maybe
Attaboy.
some pre-Dark Souls FromSoft games. So I went ahead and I found it online for relatively cheap. It was like $20 or something like that. And I ended up buying Demon Souls because I never got to play Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Oh,
Never
on the
played it
for you,
before.
man.
I've got the
Yes.
PS3 back there, like hidden away. I haven't, actually brought it out to like try to like play it, but I figured, hey, why not? It's a good one to add to the collection, and I haven't bought a
Yes.
retro game in a while, so I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and get good old Demon Souls. So
A classique.
yeah,
Fantastic.
exactly.
Mr. Vinicor, what else have you got for us this week?
Mac, my wife and I are on the last episode of Last One Laughing.
Isn't it so good?
It's so
Isn't
good.
Richard Iowata so funny?
Holy
I don't even
crap.
understand how he thinks of the things that he says.
We're not we're on the very last episode, so I don't know who wins, but that's been a ride. So thank
The
you.
last
for
one is
suggesting
so
that last
good
week.
because it's just them two just haymakering each other with jokes because they're
Oh
like,
my God.
someone has to win. There's only 10 minutes left. And so they're just like, and they're just doing everything they can to make each other laugh. It's awesome.
It was great. It was great. Also played some Ratatan on Twitch this week with Buck. We got as far as we could. We did a couple of rounds.
That
which
was
is
so much fun. That
so
is so
much
much fun
freaking fun.
multiplayer.
I watched you guys. That was cool.
Let's see. In Venny and Buck regular gameplay battle pass news this week, the new event for Hunt Showdown just came out. It's the spider themed event that introduces a new enemy, the Bile Weaver spider. There are small spiders now in Hunt Showdown, and also closing in on the end of the battle pass for Dead by Daylight, which heralded the release of the newest killer a couple days ago, the Krasu, who is basically a flying spaghetti monster from Filipino lore. And I have to
It's
tell you, she's
terrifying.
she's legitimately disgusting and terrifying.
It's gross.
What is it?
It's gross.
It's super cool
disgusting.
though.
Her face
But
melts
the
off.
How do you
killer-
spell
the
it?
killer's so
K-R-A-U-S-E.
fun
Send me a link. My
SE.
damn Bluetooth fucking keyboard is not
K-R-A-S-U-E.
working.
Yeah.
It's her,
Krasu.
like her face melts off, and then her head separates from her shoulders and flies out with all the intestines still attached.
It reminds
to the
me,
head.
yeah, it reminds me of like what is it like in Japanese called the yokai? Like it reminds me of that a little bit.
It is a real Thai, like black magic folklore kind of monster. Like it's based in
Thai,
reality.
not Filipino. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's based in reality. Like they interviewed people who were from Thailand who are terrified of these things in real life for their marketing program for this thing. It's kind of fucked up. But
What is it called again? To say it, type it one more time. Say it.
The Krasu, KRA.
I see here. Holy shit! This thing looks fucking
awful.
crazy.
it's
Here's
terrifying.
the thing. The killer is probably the strongest killer that's been released in years. So she's super fun to play. She could just like do zoomies all across the map, and when you don't have to look at her, it's a little less terrifying. When she's coming for you, it's awful. But I feel like a scumbag playing as her because she's really overtuned. Like I was running itemless, base perks only, and I'm getting 4Ks without any effort. It's kind of gross. They're gonna nerf her, no question.
This is cool. They should add more folklore monsters. I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's a good
Definitely.
idea.
That's what I got. Thank you, fellas.
Yes, thank you.
It's a good month for DVD.
Yeah, let's put the fucking Mothman in there. And thank you, dear watchers or listeners, because you have reached the end of another episode of the Game Treasure Podcast. Do us a huge favor. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell your friends. If you are just listening to this on your podcast app, don't forget this is a video podcast. You can pull it out and look at our faces when we laugh. If you are just listening to this, may I ask that you go to YouTube on the weekends to watch us stream video games. Sometimes we're streaming Baldur's Gate on Saturdays whenever my people are available. If not, last week me and Buck played Night Rain, and then on Sundays Raph plays his group games with his friends. That's always a fun, good, silly time. Go check it out. Pretty please. You can reach out to us via our email with any questions, comments, or games you want us to play at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com. Head on over to our merch store, which you can find at our linktree /the-GTP. While you're there, you can also check out our Patreon, patreon.com/the-GTP. If you like the show and you feel like giving us some money to help us make it, because the software that we use to make it isn't free, that would be cool. Because if you were to do that, say give us $5, you'd also get access to over 7 hours of bonus content in the form of our UFO 50 deep dive series. Again, linktree /the-GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find their music on Spotify, Apple Music, or anywhere you can find music on the internet. And last but not least, we need to thank RetroGameTreasure.com, owned and operated by the Megabuck himself. RetroGameTreasure.com is a subscription service that takes the hassle out of collecting retro video games. No more hunting, no more guessing, and no more wasted time. Instead, when you become a RetroGameTreasure.com subscriber, you tell Buck what video game consoles you collect video games for, and then you even tell him what genres of video games you like, subgenres of video games you like. Maybe you like imports, maybe you like mecha games, maybe you like racing games, and all of those things only for the PS2 and only for the Super Nintendo. Then at the end of the month, Buck crunches the numbers and packs you a little custom box of video games of those genres for those consoles, ships them to you for you to add to your collection permanently. And don't worry, he keeps tracks of the game that he gives you and the games that you start with, so you never get a repeat game. So start collecting games the easy way, you dingus, with RetroGameTreasure.com. Go now! Buck, hit me with this week's new subscribers.
This week we welcome Gage Houghton, Abram Allen, A. Menard, Chris Wheeler, Louise Rainier, Andrew Markoff, Josh Cooper, and Everett Foley.
Thank you so much. It sincerely helps. Until next week, my name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure Podcast. It's so bad.
It is so bad.
Wake